Time is 5 o'clock. Good evening and welcome to the December 2023 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Thank you all for joining us in person at the Omaha Douglas Civic Center and remotely via WebEx. I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy. With me in person are my fellow board members Amanda Bogner, Mike Kavanaugh, Matt Core, Sarah Howard, Janice Molhoff, Craig Moody, and Mary Spurgeon. We also have President and CEO Javier Fernandez, our General Counsel Steve Bruckner with the Fraser Stryker Law Firm, and members of our board meeting support staff. Oppd's executive leadership team and subject matter experts are also participating in today's meeting in person and via WebEx. Additionally, we currently have 2 members of the public at the Civic Center and 17 attendees online on WebEx, consisting of Oppd employees and members of the public. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I will now ask a member of Oppd's physical security team to provide the safety briefing for our location and for Javier Fernandez to provide other safety reminders.
Good evening and welcome. As we typically do, we'll start with a quick safety briefing. Again, on either side of us are the emergency exits. In the event of an evacuation, we would ask you to go to those exits calmly. Those take us directly outside. If there was any severe weather in the area, which luckily there is not, we would go down the stairs and into the garage where we would take shelter. Also located at either end and AED first aid equipment. We also have some additional first aid equipment that we brought ourselves. So if anybody needs any assistance, just go ahead and find one of the Oppd members or the members of the security and we'll get you help as quickly as possible. We'd also highly recommend those that are listening in from their homes to also have some fire suppression and first aid equipment available just in case of any emergencies. And then as usual, watch out for those environmental concerns. We have a few just outside the doorway there, so watch out for those trips and falls. Doesn't feel like it, but we are in winter, so if it does get icy and slick and cold, please watch out for those things as well. And then finally, in the event of any type of emergency or active threat, we would follow the rules of run, hide, fight, and we'd also follow the security professionals and deputy sheriffs that are in the room with us tonight. So with that, hopefully everybody has a good meeting, and I hope everyone gets some well-deserved rest over the next week. So thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Just moving on to psychological safety on the same topic I touched on Tuesday. Multiple perspectives is a pillar of psychological safety, and it's just a reminder that what's obvious to us is only obvious to us, and to consider the different perspectives that people bring to the table when discussing complex topics. This is very, very important as we sit down across the table and discuss, again, items that we are discussing all the time. Acknowledge that there are multiple perspectives to one topic. Next slide, please. Safety focus for December, that's situational awareness. I mentioned on Tuesday, we're distracted, the holidays are upon us, and that usually is a recipe for distractions and potential hazards. So we're asking our crew leaders, our crews, our employees to take time to assess the environment before we begin any job. No matter how many times you've done it, no matter how many times you've been on that location, take the time. For example, in our case, we ask people to go around and do a 360 inspection of your vehicle, make sure that there are no hazards before you begin driving it, things of that nature. Avoiding sprains, strains, and tears. Again, that overextension of injuries have been on the rise for the past several months, making sure that you have the proper ergonomic position, that you're warming up, and that you know and you work within your body's limitations are really, really important reminders. And the winter weather hazards, we were just talking about how nice it is outside. It's December 21st, and it was 51 degrees earlier today, but it gets really cold overnight, and freeze thawing becomes a hazard. So it's just a reminder of people that winter is upon us, literally officially now, and that slippery conditions outside will continue to be present for the next few weeks and months. That concludes my safety briefing.
Thanks very much. Now let's run through our guidelines for the conduct of the meeting. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on oppd.com. This meeting is being conducted in person with WebEx conferencing and is being recorded. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are part of the official public record. After the introduction of action items, board members will ask clarifying questions of staff, and then I will ask for public comment. After public comment, the board will conduct its discussion of the matter and then vote. Also, before we adjourn, there will be an opportunity to comment on other matters of district business. We will take comments in the room first and then via WebEx. For in-person attendees, if you wish to make a comment, please line up behind the microphone in the center of the room. Please state your name, address, and the name of any organization or person you represent. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending. To assist you, we will use the timer located in the center of the room. Ms. Lane will signal you when you have 30 seconds remaining, as well as when time is up. If you have written materials, please deliver them to Ms. Lane. For WebEx attendees, if you wish to make a comment, please send the message. Send the meeting host a message using the chat feature or utilize the hand raise feature. Detailed instructions can be found on the OPPD website at the link shown on the screen. When I call a member of the public to speak, please affirm that we can hear you before commencing with your comments. Please state your name, address, and the name of any organization or person you represent. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending. To assist you, we will use the timer on screen and signal you when you have 30 seconds remaining, as well as when time is up. If you have written materials, please email them to corporatesecretary@oppd.com, and they will be received on our behalf. For all attendees, please direct your comments to me. I will either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. The board values and welcomes civil, respectful, clear, and concise communication from the public. During public comments, speakers should refrain from repetitious, profane, or irrelevant comments. Speakers shall refrain from polling the board, as such vote is not on the agenda and is prohibited by law. Ms. Blaine, will you please take the roll call?
Director Bogner,
Here.
Director Kavanaugh,
Here.
Director Corr,
Here.
Director Howard,
Here.
Director Mulhoff,
Here.
Director Moody,
Here.
Director Spurgeon,
Present.
Director Williams.
Here.
Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in the Omaha World Herald, OPPD outlets newsletter, oppd.com, and social media, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on December 15, 2023. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection on oppd.com and in this meeting room. The board consent agenda action items are as follows. Item 6, approval of the October 2023 financial report, November 2023 meeting minutes, and the December 21, 2023 agenda. Item 7, SD8 employee relations monitoring report, resolution number 6611. Item 8, declaration of anticipated 2024 capital expenditures reimbursement, resolution number 6612. Item 9, Public Utilities Regulatory Policies Act, PURPA Amendment, Resolution Number 6613. Item 10, Castasarpy Transmission Project Acquisition of Land Rights, Resolution Number 6614. Item 11, RFP Number 6017, Spring 2024 Transmission Construction, Resolution Number 6615. Item 12, RFP Number 6101, 345-15 KV 140, 187, 233, 262 MVA OLTC GSU transformer, resolution number 6616. Item 13, Cass County Station Unit 1 and 2 exhaust stack repairs, engineer certification, resolution number 6617. Item 14, North Omaha Effluent Limit Guideline Compliance System Modification, engineer certification, resolution number 6618. Item 15, RFP number 6111, repair or replace NC2 boiler, feedwater pump spare motor, resolution number 6619. Item 16, SD4, reliability policy revision, resolution number 6620.
There are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items. I need a motion and a second to approve these items.
So moved.
Second.
We discussed these items at the all committee meeting on Tuesday, December 19th. Do any members of the public in the room have comments on these consent agenda items? If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium. Seeing none, do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand. No virtual comments either. Ms. Lane, will you please call the roll?
Director Bogner,
Yes.
Director Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Director Corr,
Yes.
Director Howard,
Yes.
Director Mulhoff,
Yes.
Director Moody,
Yes.
Director Spurgeon,
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes.
The board discussion action item is item 17, 2024 Final Corporate Operating Plan, Resolution number 6621. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District as follows. A, the 2024 Corporate Operating Plan is hereby approved. B, the rate changes described in Exhibit A and as set forth in the rate schedules attached in Exhibit B are hereby approved, effective January 1st, 2024. Item C, as described in Exhibit B, the following definition is revised: qualified generator. D, as described in Exhibit B, the following district rate schedule is repealed, effective January 1, 2024. Rate Schedule 261, large power, high voltage transmission level. E, as described in Exhibit B, the revisions to the following rate schedules and riders are hereby approved. Rate Schedules 350, municipal service street lighting. Rider Schedule 461, fuel and purchase power adjustment. Rider Schedule 470A, activation fee, non-landlords and landlords. And Rate Schedule Rider 470I, tenant attachment fee. And F, to harmonize provisions as revised and repealed, the revisions to district service regulations set forth on Exhibit B are hereby approved.
Mr. Chair, adoption of this resolution.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
And so I wonder if any of the directors have questions of the staff that remain. This open for a good month and talked about it, but any questions you have to clarify the adoption of this budget? Okay.
I'd like to make a comment. I just want to appreciate the work that was put in to prepare this budget, and also with the, never to call a rate increase nominal, but it's this small rate increase compared to what it could have been and what was probably anticipated, and compared to our nation as a whole, it's pretty darn good. And while I hate to raise rates, this is certainly a lot better than what I anticipated. I appreciate it very much.
Director Mulhoff, did you have a comment?
I have a comment. After the public comment.
We'll get to that in a second, but no clarification questions from staff? Great. Do any members of the public in the room have comments on the corporate operating plan?
David Bagley, 4611 South 96th Street. Since I've got some extra time, Merry Christmas to one and all. I want to point out that OPPD is a state-sanctioned monopoly, and every person in the service area has to buy power from you. There's no freedom of choice. Now, the OPPD Board of Directors has the exclusive jurisdiction to set rates. Neither the Nebraska Public Service Commission nor the Nebraska Power Review Board can set the rates. Or they can't even review them. District court, in some circumstances, can review rates. Now, I think the OPPD board has made clear that it will pay any price and bear any burden to achieve net zero by 2050. And to be clear, I don't be charged with plagiarism like the president of Harvard, but I'm citing President John F. Kennedy and Nebraska native Ted Sorensen, who wrote his inaugural address. Now, I'm not being disingenuous with this comment, but there are many smart and savvy people here who work for OPPD. Javier, list them by names, the ones I know: Lisa Olson, Jeff Bishop, Troy Va, Brad Underwood, Scott Folk, and others I don't know. So this is what's going to happen. This is my prediction. The staff will recommend and the board will approve a series of incremental rate increases over the next 5 to 10 years to soften the blow of the true high cost of net zero. It's not going to be like Wyoming, where they want a 29% rate increase in 1 year. I predict the OPBD rates will be 20 to 25% higher with the next 5 years. As I've told you numerous times, the more unreliable solar and wind you add, more expensive it gets. Now, here's an interesting aspect here. The OPPD board is controlled by the Democrat Party. Traditionally, the Democrats have favored the little guy. So, cui bono, who benefits from this net zero? Well, it's plainly obvious that the corporation and rich individuals, the fat cats who buy interest in these solar and wind projects, they get these incredibly valuable federal income tax credits to reduce their own federal tax bill. And it's really the most generous tax shelter in the history of the United States. So instead of fat cats paying
30 seconds.
their fair share of taxes, President Biden talks about paying your fair share all the time. These fat cats buy these wind and solar credits, and our federal debt goes up and federal tax receipts go down. So thank you very much.
Are there any other comments in the room? Are there any comments online?
No comments online.
Thank you. Do any directors have comments about the corporate operating plan? Dr. Moloff.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I had talked to Javier about the 5 years of no general rate increase and how concerned I was that at the end of the 5 years, we would have a big spike in rates because after you go 5 years with no general rate increase, there's ground to be made up, basically. And with this corporate operating plan, I'm incredibly proud of the OPPD staff and the leadership team and Javier, because we have really held this rate increase much less than the amount of inflation we've seen over the last 5 years. And so I just want to say that I am very proud of that. We never want to raise rates. We are very concerned about what this does to people's bills, but we also know that we have to provide reliable services to everyone, and that takes more money. And so appreciate all the work that went into this corporate operating plan, and thank you for all the work. So.
Thank you. Do other directors have any comments? Dr. Moody.
Thank you, Director Williams. Just to pile on and echo a few things. This is not without Herculean effort. And I think it's fair to say that this effort to not only prepare a corporate operating plan, but also to maintain the fiscal responsibility that we have for several years goes across the entire organization. Everybody plays a role in helping us to be lean in the work that we do. Meanwhile, we're continuing to invest in the system. We're finding opportunities to grow, to meet the customer's demand. So I want to express some gratitude and appreciation for all the hard work that goes into the development of the plan and maintaining that fiscal responsibility over time. It's not easy. It's going to continue to be difficult. And I think it's been work that's been really well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Spurgeon, did you have comments?
Just to add on to that, 75%, I believe, of this budget really just goes to maintain what we have, which is not a small thing. We're talking about not only generation facilities, but the transmission and the distribution, the big lines and the little lines that go from your house to wherever the next pole is, and keeping the trees trimmed and the zillion other things that we don't think about because our lives don't revolve around keeping the electricity moving. So that's a large part of this budget. And we would be remiss in our responsibility if we didn't make sure that this work is done to maintain reliability of the system. When I listen to world news and I hear this part of the world, well, they have electricity for 6 hours a day, but they don't know when. I think about how fortunate we are to have the reliable system that we have. And times can be uncertain, and the demands on the system are quite huge, but we are doing the best, and everybody at OPPD is doing their best to make sure that we maintain reliable and affordable services. So thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Great. I was very glad for the board to be presented with a corporate operating plan that meets our multiple objectives from our mission all at once. Maintaining the infrastructure and facilities that we have to provide reliable service, investing in resources we will need to continue the clean energy transition in preparation for the future, and providing affordable energy for all of our customers in all rate classes. As we talked about the small rate increase overall, I'm very glad to hear that staff will be proactively reaching out to customers to make them aware of the updates that will begin in 2024. Over the last 2 years, we have focused on the energy burden for low and moderate income households at great length. And I think that's an excellent effort. I'm glad to see that continuing. I'm also glad to know that we will continue to work with people in our community who need assistance to have access to electricity without that electricity being an overly large portion of their income. On Tuesday, we discussed outreach about efficiency and ways to conserve energy. I think it's important that we all remember and that we help the public to understand that the best way to lower energy costs is by lowering energy use. So from the presentation of the budget that we had in November and the discussion we had in December and the comments that we've received from board members, again, I think that the budget meets all of the objectives of the organization and does an excellent job of continuing the success we have had over recent years and preparing us for the future. So thank you to Javier and thank you to the staff for all of the work you have all put in to help us be ready for 2024 and beyond. And with that, Ms. Lane, will you please call the roll?
Director Bogner,
Yes.
Director Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Director Corr,
Yes.
Director Howard,
Yes.
Director Mulhoff,
Yes.
Director Moody,
Yes.
Director Spurgeon,
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 6621 passes 8-0.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the President's report. Javier Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair Williams. I'll be brief. As usual, we present the baseload generation for the month of November. As you can see here, all units except for North Omaha Unit 4 were online. North Omaha Unit 4 entered a planned outage on October 20th, and it started returning back to service in December, but it was out for the entire month of November. This is not unusual. These are planned outages that we take to maintain and keep our units in good working order. Next slide, please. Our peaking generation, our balancing generation has seen some activity. Our Cass County station, Unit 1, was started one time. Unit 2 did not start, although it was available. Jones Street generation, same thing. We had a few starts with a capacity factor of 0.5%. The station that saw the most activity in the month of November was Sarpy County, even though 2 units, Sarpy County 4 and 5, remain out for maintenance and overhaul of the turbines. The units 1, 2, and 3 saw quite a bit of activity, totaling 6.8% of capacity factor in our Sarpy County station. A reminder, North Omaha Units 1 and 2 are out for the winter because of lack of availability of natural gas. However, North Omaha Unit 3 this year is available, and it did run one time. Let me just confirm. North Omaha Unit 3, it ran 2 times during the month, again, because of the good work that we have done with MUD to ensure that there's availability of fuel for that unit in the winter month. Next slide, please. Renewables for the month of November, renewable energy contributed 28.3% of OPPD's retail energy sales. The capacity factor for our entire renewable portfolio was 28%. Community solar was under 15%, and for wind, 35.3%. It was a relatively high wind month in the month of November. We usually see that coming down in October, but November held pretty steady. I am looking forward to presenting the year-round results next year, where I can present the whole portfolio and how it performed for the entire year. Next slide, please. Following its inaugural year, the annual Trade Allies Summit was held last month. This annual event is an opportunity to host our Trade Ally network in the residential, business, and solar sectors. The purpose of the summit is to discuss partnership, performance, align on market and customer needs, provide awareness and education to OPPD's product and services, and be a proactive resource for various trade ally needs. This year, we were fortunate to have our keynote speaker, Bill LeBlanc, who is president of LeBlanc Energy Consulting. Bill is an energetic speaker and a catalyst of the energy industry. I believe that there was very good feedback about his presentation. Attendees also had the opportunity to attend 2 of the 6 offered breakout sessions with topics including the general 2024 Trade Allied Network updates, Nebraska Worker Training Cash Fund, customer-owned generation, HVAC rebates, weatherization program, and the solar permitting process. All in all, a very successful event, and we look forward to having these now become a part of our annual offerings. Next slide, please. November, of course, it's Veterans Day. We had Veterans Day Parade celebrated on November 11th, where about a dozen employees plus family members honored military veterans by participating in the Defenders of Freedom Veterans Day Parade. Our senior journey line technician, Brian Tedesco, drove the OPPD line truck that's decked out in salute of veterans. You can see the picture online. This truck has been showcased many times, and it is a source of pride for myself and all of OPPD's employees. I want to call out that the members of the OPPD Veterans Network coordinated OPPD's involvement, as they always do, in this parade, and very proud of the work that the Veterans Network does. Next slide, please. Once again, OPPD rocked the block with Habitat Omaha on Saturday, November 11th. That Saturday was busy with the Veterans Day Parade and then rocked the block. This time we were on Florence Boulevard in Miller Park in North Omaha. The focus was on fall cleanup in conjunction with a larger effort in Miller Park by the Empowerment Network and Trinity Lutheran Church. You may see someone familiar in one of those pictures. Special thank you to Director Spurgeon for giving up a Saturday and volunteering alongside our employees. Thank you. Thank you very much for this. Next slide, please. Toys for Tots. When employees began shopping for the holiday season, they kept in mind the local Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots programs. Our employees generously donated what added up to a huge amount of toys. You can see some of the boxes full with toys, plus $363 in monetary gifts. The Papillion Center, who coordinated this effort, they marked 15 years of participation in this cause, and it's just fantastic to see the employees again gathering together and helping our community. Next slide, please. On the award side, OPPD is proud to have been awarded 2 awards of excellence at the Public Relations Society of America, or PRSA. Our Nebraska chapter, they held the Paper Anvil Awards Gala on Thursday, December 7th, and the awards recognize the work of Nebraska public relations, marketing, and communications professionals. We got awarded 2 awards. The first one was in the category of community relations for our near-term generation and growth campaign. And the second was in the category of reputation and brand management for the Illuminate Our Future campaign. Thank you and congratulations, Lisa Olson. You and your team did a fantastic job on these, and glad that recognized by the PRSA. Last slide is again just an in memoriam to remember our fellow employees who have lost their life in the line of duty. Jimmy Dobbs died on May 4, 1988, resulting from electrocution that occurred while he was relocating a power line for a highway project southwest of Ashland along Highway 6. Jimmy was 40 years old and had been with OPPD for 14 years at the time of his death. He was the kind of person who picked people up when they were a little down, said Jack Finney, field supervisor at Louisville. I know I speak for all the people here when I say that he was everyone's friend on or off the job. That was another quote from his field supervisor. He was survived by his wife, Delaine, daughters Anne-Marie and Kara Lynn, his mother, 2 brothers and 3 sisters. And before I conclude my president's report, Chair Williams, I would like to just take an opportunity, since we're at the end of the year, to thank my executive leadership team. It's been a ride. It's been a busy year. But I also want to thank the board because we've asked a lot of all of you, and I know you're serving here because you're committed citizens and you were elected to this position, but I still want to acknowledge that it takes a lot of time out of your schedule. You all have busy schedules, and the dedication that I have seen from the board, from staff in such a consequential year as 2023 was fantastic. So thank you all for the work that we do, and buckle up because 2024 is full of work ahead of us. That concludes my president's report.
Thank you for that report. And before we get to 2024, let's make sure we take a little break and then be ready for the next year, right? Let's not rush into things here. The last item on the agenda is the public comments. Do any members of the public have comments on any other matters related to OPPD?
I got it. It's fuzzy math. Okay. David Bagley, 4611 South 96th Street. I failed to mention my Creighton undergrad classmate, Steve Bruckner. We graduated, oh, I probably shouldn't say the year, but I'm confident that Steve graduated with honors at Creighton University, just like I did. And this was back in the day when A's weren't handed out like candy. So Steve, as you well know, is a very smart and savvy lawyer. So I have a very blunt and direct manner. And the purpose of my comments here over these many months is to bring you facts and some legal opinions, which you're probably not getting. Because there's two sides to this story on net zero. And I have no hope of ever convincing Director Williams or Director Moody to abandon net zero, but you other six all have votes. So here's the math. This is really the crux of your net zero plan. Carbon dioxide is 450 parts per million in the atmosphere. That works out to 0.045%. The full worldwide emissions from industry, it gets to 0.0025%. So what the OPPD is doing, you're going to be spending and borrowing $2 billion to lower that tiny number. And I submit to you that is not prudent. It's not within your statutory duties. So energy transmission or energy transition. So I've told you many times that India and China, they're the ones generating all the carbon dioxide. USA, much smaller. OPPD probably can't even measure it. Here's another illuminating chart. So this is from that shindig in Abu Dhabi or whatever. How much is it going to take to achieve net zero? How much more are you going to have to add in terms of solar and wind? Well, it's a fantastic number. Finally, again, this is restated from before. Top 5 coal countries with operating coal-fired capacity and planned expansion. China, India, United States.
30 seconds.
I submit to you that whatever little tiny OPPD is doing to achieve net zero is futile and meaningless, and you shouldn't be borrowing and spending $2 billion. Thank you.
I'm sorry that you feel the work of OPPD is irrelevant. I, on the other hand, do not. So in the future, I'd prefer that you show more respect to the work that our board, our CEO, and our staff do in our community and to improve the lives of people both here and around the world. Are there any other comments from people in the room? Are there any comments online?
David Corbin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, David Corbin, Nebraska Chapter Sierra Club. I live at 1002 North 49th Street. I've been attending both the Omaha climate pollution reduction plan, as well as the state's. We're meeting via Zoom, and there are breakout sessions, but the thing I'm interested in bringing up here is what OPPD's representation is on both of these. Obviously, the plans are directly related to what OPPD does. And I noticed in my group, at least, there was a lot of representation from LES, I didn't see anything from NPPD, and there was one person on OPPD in one of the meetings I was in, but that person never said anything. OPPD has grant writers. Your district is in the largest area that has low income and underserved communities. And a lot of the, in both of those plans, address both of those. So I'm hoping that OPBD will show leadership in those committees. I know that you are working all the time on all the things that you've already mentioned, but this is an opportunity we've never had in the past. And I hope that OPPD will be at the table and access all the funds to which you are which legally you can receive. And so again, I hope you do that. I hope you're interacting with the leaders of both of those teams, and that you are also perhaps submitting written comments, because they're both asking for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments online? Okay. Okay, sounds good. Let's give him a second. Is someone attempting to join by phone? Is that right? Or... Okay. Sounds like staff is attempting to provide some assistance. We'll work through that for a second here. It's a good time to say thank you to the staff who facilitates our hybrid meetings. This was a change during COVID that we've continued. I appreciate how we engage with the public so successfully, and then we provide support to people who want to make sure that they're engaging effectively with the board and with the organization. So thanks to everybody who makes this possible. Does it look like we'll have things worked out, or? That sounds good. Yeah, we can follow up, and then perhaps we can still include the comments as part of the official comments for this meeting. We'll work with the corporate secretary to get that done. Great. So thank you to whoever it is that was not able to join us because of the technology. Appreciate your involvement with OPPD. We'll make sure and get in touch with you. And with that, that concludes our agenda. I wish you all happy holidays and happy new year. On the darkest day of the year, it's a perfect time to remember that we have a bright future in front of us. Thanks very much. Meeting adjourned.